Thank you for joining me. I'm here with Paul Marron, who is my cover model.
There we go. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you could join me. So first, let's start with how many covers have you been on?
I've lost track. Yeah, I kind of don't want to know, but it could be close to several hundred. I would guess, possibly more. Yeah, it was a number.
Wow.
There was a point where I was shooting with the photographer that shot this cover. We would shoot between 3 and 5 covers a day at some points. So we were getting after it. I know one of the questions you were probably going to get to is like how long they take. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's less than an hour. If they have a clear vision of what they want, we can usually get it in like less than 100 shots. The male and the female, if like in regards to this cover, you do have to have a level of connection, energy there that like you've got to be able to get into that person's groove and find something compatible with them. So
you have to create chemistry? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, most certainly. Yeah, because I do believe that the camera does pick up all those things. So, yes.
Wow. Okay. So do you have a good side and a bad side?
I'm not a fan of either side. Whatever is going to make the art director, the photographer, make sure that they know they have the right shot and the lighting. That's the side I prefer. So I'm a hypercritical of my work. I don't even like to look at it, like even after the shot's done, or unless they're showing us like, oh, we really want to get this, or we really like your hand position here, or whatever. So I kind of have large hands, so they're like they end up looking like a primitive claw. When I'm caressing a young girl, I'm like, oh my God, like nobody's gonna buy this book.
So you say you've been on hundreds of covers. How did it start? Do you remember how you booked your first cover?
I believe it was a sci-fi cover. It was through an agency. I was working with Wilhelmina Models. This is back again when I was young and handsome. This could have been as early as 2004. It kind of just snowballed into that, and then started working with a few different girls, and which was great. And they started pairing us together for a lot of romance stuff, which was there because we found like we had a really good chemistry together, and we would just nail stuff out of the park, which was outstanding. There was multiple girls that I worked with. We had a thing. We both had relationships separately, but like when it was time for the camera, like it was just those things were set aside. We're in a professional setting, and we would just create magic, which was outstanding.
And do you remember shooting my cover and how that went, or no? Can you share any tidbits?
Yes. It went outstanding. It really did. It was prior to the pandemic. Yeah, it went very well. I remember it was cold out still. So, but yeah, the female model was great. I remember running into her later that day at a casting. So I was just like, oh, you look familiar. I think I know you. We just both had our clothes off like an hour ago.
If you were going to use 5 words that you hear the most at cover shoots, what are they?
Passion can be one. They just like, especially with romance, sometimes there can be a little bit of like the female can look a little bit reserved or unsure because maybe she, I'm like this millionaire, billionaire tycoon character. So sometimes I have like that virtuous, but the chest is all pumped up and out, and I'm just like, oh yes, totally not me. But it's kind of fun to play that. So I think like passion, like very close sincerity. Sometimes a little demonic if it is a paranormal, like a very straightforward kind of head down and eyes up a little bit.
Oh.
But for romance, it's usually more passion. They'll put music on often in the background, which does help.
Are breath mints involved, and Have you ever worked with a model with horrible breath, and what did you do?
That is an outrageous question. I can't believe you would ask such a thing. um, they are not required, though suggested. I'll put a cough drop in before I go to the studio, like as I'm walking in. Sometimes I've had a fair amount. I'm a little bit of a caffeine junkie, so I'm sure I've had coffee breath, but I assure you it's never been anything like dragon breath or anything of that sort. But yeah, there's always mints around.
What about, have you ever worked with a woman who had bad breath? And did you just have to work through it, or did you give her a mint, or what happened?
Yes, that has happened. You get past it. You just move on. It's never been anything horrendous or completely outrageous, but it's been a thing. It was just like, oh, you had falafel like 10 minutes ago. It does get hot often under some of the lights, and if a
It's
woman
not
has
because of the chemistry you guys are
it
creating, that
can be
heat.
because of that. That has happened. Circuits have blown, lights, fuses have popped. Perspiration can be a thing, like especially if I have like heavier pants on and we're kind of together. She'll have like a lot of times these gowns they're not very breathable, so like we just get hot. And but I think that creates part of the moment. You know, you start to
Sultry
get
covers.
into and yes, yeah.
So what is the worst part of shooting romance covers?
For me, they like me clean shaven for romance covers. I do not love to shave. It feels irritating. I feel I feel better when I have the scruff. So for me, that's probably the worst part, which wasn't all that bad. But they like a clean, fresh young man's face, and
And what is the best part about shooting romance covers?
uh, the whole ambiance that's created and the artistic aspect between the illustrator, the photographer. If the author is there, it's often a great thing. But as far as the best part, the less people and just creating that space and creating that mood and that moment is really an astonishing thing. And when we both walk away, it's just like we did that. And sometimes they'll show a reference of an old cover of like an idea that they want to portray. And when we can walk away saying that like we blew that out of the water, I really I enjoy that. That's what I truly aspire for. I think that's the best part is to really give them more than what they actually wanted.
So, do your friends tease you about being on romance covers?
Almost daily. It is fun. It's cheap entertainment for those people, so it's great.
And how do you feel? Like, are you embarrassed, or is it funny to you? I mean, when people tease you about the covers, I mean, I guess you're laughing all the way to the bank.
I find it comical. Yeah, I mean, I think if you can't laugh about it, about yourself, then it's the joke's on you.
Okay, very important question. Are you always the hottest guy in the room in any room you walk into?
That is false. Unless I don't have any clothes on, then things could.
Oh!
Yeah, I'm kind of a suck. This morning I went out to go grab my recycling bins this morning outside, and of course I have no shirt on, and I'm just have my little shorts on, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like there's people around, and
this heroine is supposed to be half Arab. So yeah,
I have Arab blood in me. That's kind of funny.
No, you don't.
Yeah. So I guess it was Persian Empire before the Ottoman Empire took over. So Syrian / Lebanese. So my great grandfather came over from Lebanon. His name was Paul Marron. So my real last name is Abinader, and it was switched. So my great grandfather's first name was Marron, and when he came over to Ellis Island, they were like Abinader, like that's too like whatever. So they named him Louis Marron. So Marron was his first name, which is now my last name, which is also it's Brown in French, Spanish, and Belgian. So it's the French part. the coolest part of this whole thing, and this goes for all immigrants, which is also what's so inspiring about the U.S., is that it's just a giant melting pot of
Right.
only a few hundred years. Thanks for an outstanding interview. You have such great questions.
Thank you.
The one I was hoping, I was like, I hope she doesn't ask like, yeah, the boxers or briefs question.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, I wear pants so that I don't have to answer that question.
Take care. This has been so much fun.
All right,
All right, bye-bye.
Ciao.